is a glorious Sunday afternoon here on the north side of Chicago. Everybody's wearing Cubs gear these days. The leadoff man kicks off as the Rockies and the Cubs will play a rubber match here on WGN Sports. And welcome to the booth. Great to have you with us for Cubs baseball. First pitch in about 20 minutes. John Lester will pitch for the Cubs. Jake Arrieta, a nice win yesterday.
Yeah, he was just dominant. Outstanding stuff from Arrieta. 8 shutout innings. Joe Maddon had to be tempted to run him back out there for the ninth, but they had a comfortable lead. They're trying to save some bullets, so Arrieta went 8 scoreless. He now has a streak of 48 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings in the regular season. Pitched in this ballpark, and he started with a flourish, didn't he, striking out the side in the first inning. Ended up with 8 strikeouts on the afternoon.
Just 5 hits, ERA now 1.23. The offensive support, 4th inning, first pitch of the inning. Anthony Rizzo with what ended up being his 4th game-winning RBI already. And then Jorge Soler, he's been impressive this last week.
Yeah, he's made a lot of hard contact. Nice to see him lift the ball as he did here. He had a couple knocks yesterday. So good signs from young Jorge Soler, and the guy who's been just the leader of the pack so far for the Cubs, Dexter Fowler, second in the league in batting average, first in on-base percentage, and he provided that extra lift late in the ballgame, turning a relatively close game into a fairly wide-open game with that 3-run home run.
So the Cubs win 6-2. The bats were pretty quiet on Friday. Not the case yesterday, and right there is more of the norm of what we've seen to this point. So the Cubs are 9-2. They hand the ball to John Lester today. We're seeing some lineup changes here and there. Zobrist and Hayward got the day off yesterday. Addison Russell gets a day off today.
Yeah, well, Javi Baez is back, and Joe Maddon's trying to find a way to get Baez in the lineup 2-3 times a week to keep him in the flow and initially to get him into the flow of the season. So he gets a start at second base yesterday and shortstop here this afternoon.
We'll hear from the manager, Joe Maddon, when we return. The leadoff man on WGN. The Hyundai leadoff man is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Test drive their all-star lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Chris Bryant celebrating his one-year anniversary. Major League debut was last year on April 17th against the San Diego Padres. The weather has been great here this week. It's heating up even. Today we might get up to 70 degrees here at the ballpark. Let's hear from Joe Maddon on the wonderful weather here in April.
Wow. I mean, last night just walking downtown, I mean, the places were jammed, everybody's sitting outside. I guess that doesn't happen many Aprils in this city. It was, and then you knew the weather was going to be better today. We're going to go to St. Louis. It's going to be warm there. It's really fortunate, being that I'm a warm weather lover. Very, very fortunate right now. I think it does. I mean, I think that just sounds normal. Although I thought he did really well with it last year, regardless of whatever was going on internally, I thought he did a great job. Just your more comfort level, there's no question. I think other guys have arrived that kind of deflect for him a little bit. Knowing me, knowing the city, knowing the organization better, I'm certain has a positive or a comforting impact for him. So all those things taken into consideration, I agree with you. I still believe I saw a different version of John this past camp in a good way. Not that last year was a bad version. A more relaxed, more understanding of what's in store than maybe it had last year. And it's good. It's good for him. It's good for us.
Joe, give you guys a pension for celebrating things. You guys have cake or healthy snacks for Chris's 1-year anniversary debut, which is today?
We did not.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to celebrate another victory after today's game. But no, we did not. We did not actually think about that. I didn't think about that.
I mean, it's been a year. Does it seem he doesn't look like he's only been in the big leagues for a year? I mean, what can you say about a guy like? He's
very mature, man. He's a mature guy, and the way he goes about his business is it's beyond his years. That's the best way I can tell you, man. He's subject to like moments like we all are when things aren't going well, but he's pretty good at putting it down yesterday and coming out and playing today. He's pretty good at putting down the previous at bat and going out for the next one, making a mistake on defense and coming back like yesterday, starting that double play after the tough game the day before. I have a lot of faith in his ability to move to the next moment, and you got to be that kind of guy to be great.
Ramrod.
Good stuff as always from Joe Madden, and great to see Bobby D, the spark plug of that '84 team, Bob Dernier, and he'll sing the stretch today. More coming up.
You are not alone. I wish all of you could be right here at this moment. Unbelievable atmosphere. And the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Breaking ball got him.
Great call by Pat Hughes as the Cubs beat the Cardinals in their first ever postseason series matchup against their big-time rivals. We're on My 50 WPWR tomorrow as Jason Hayward and John Lackey return to St. Louis, but this time as members of the Chicago Cubs. Down to the field, God Bless America, and our national anthem performed today by Michael McDermott.
At this time, please remain standing and join Michael McDermott as he honors our nation with God Bless America, followed by our national anthem.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside and guide through the night with the light from above, from the mountain to the prairie to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, it gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The great Michael McDermott getting us set for Cubs baseball next. We are coming to you live from beautiful Wrigley Field in Chicago for Cubs baseball on WGN Sports. The Cubs wrap up their first homestand, a rubber game today against the Colorado Rockies. And great to have you with us. Jim DeShays and Len Casper with you. John Lester will pitch today. So quality start, score about 6 runs. That's been the template.
That's the formula. And Lester gave the Cubs a quality start last time out after an outstanding start, his first start of the year out in Anaheim. And the last time he faced this club over here in the first base dugout, he punched out 14, dominating the Rockies last summer.
Right-hander Tyler Chatwood will go for the visitors. Cubs have won 9 of their first 11. They're getting great starting pitching. It's the lefty's turn today when we come back. Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Honda. Get amazing deals at the Honda Dream Garage Sales Event now at your Honda dealer. State Farm. Combine your car and home insurance with State Farm and start saving. Call your State Farm agent today or find one at statefarm.com. Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Chicago Cubs baseball in high definition on WGN is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Rockies won on Friday. The Cubs took yesterday's game 2. Rockies lead the majors in slugging and extra base hits. Here's how they line up offensively. Ex-Cub DJ LeMahieu back in the lineup, sat out with the groin tightness yesterday. Trevor Story off to a great start. Hasn't done much in this series, however. Carlos Gonzalez has. He homered late in the ball game on Saturday. Arenado tied for the major league lead in RBIs. Hara off to a very good start. Mark Reynolds is at first today. Brandon Barnes, you may see him try to bunt against John Lester. Tony Walters, the catcher, and the pitcher, Tyler Chatwood.
Cubs defensively on this splendid afternoon. The front court in place. Soler, Fowler, Hayward, left, center, right. Third to first will go Chris Bryant. Javi Baez gets the start at short today. Zober second, Rizzo first. David Ross does the catching, and the Cubs starting pitcher today, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, is John Lester through 2 starts, 1-0 with a 277 earned run average. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all.
What a day. We've had a very dry homestand. That's good. 68 degrees. Mostly sunny. Wind is blowing in not very hard off the lake. They got a foot of snow in Denver. The Rockies are fortunate to be on the road for sure. And good to see that Cubs flag at the top of the NL Central standings. Vic Carapazza will work home plate. Clint Fagan is at first. Marvin Hudson replacing the injured John Hirschbeck these last 2 days. And Bill Welke, the crew chief, over at third. And here is Lester to LeMahieu to get us started. Ball one.
Rocky hitters will have to deal with that cut fastball, the right-handed batters. The cutter in, such a big weapon for Lester. Will sink the heater, curve and a change. It was July 29th of last year when he set a single-game franchise record by a left-handed pitcher. 14 punch-outs over this Rocky club.
1-1. And he's ahead 1-2. LeMahieu played Friday and went 0 for 5. He snapped his season opening 9-game hitting streak. Did steal a base, knocked in a run. Yesterday sat out. Had some tightness in his groin. Pitch.
See Lester do a lot of work down around and below the knees.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
That's that cutter that eats up right-handed hitters, just keeps riding in and under the bat, under the swing of the right-handed hitter. 2 more and he could match Arrieta's start of yesterday.
Now the rookie Trevor Story still leading the majors with his 7 home runs, but in this series 1 for 9 with 5 strikeouts.
He struck out his first 3 plate appearances yesterday, and then a fly ball double to right his final time up.
Cubs 9-2, a 3-game lead over the Reds. And the Cardinals coming in. The Rockies 6-5, a half game back of the Dodgers and the Giants. And a line drive, base hit, good effort by Baez, but he just couldn't snag it on the leap. And Story has a 1-out single.
See how aggressively Walt Weiss decides to play it on the bases here today. Good swing of the bat by Story. Rockets that ball just beyond the reach of Baez. He's got some serious ups. He can really jump. Couldn't quite get that one.
Now Carlos Gonzalez, 2 hits yesterday, including a 2-run homer in the 9th, to extend his hitting streak to 21 games going back to last year.
The man on first base, you'll see Anthony Rizzo not staying on the bag. He'll play off the base a little bit and then deke a little bit towards the base. You create a little dilemma for the base runner.
Lester, 32 years old, 6'4", 240. Second year with the Cubs. And he's behind Gonzalez 2-0.
128 wins in his big league career against 79 losses. A career earned run average of .355.
Mentioned Chris Bryant celebrating the 1-year anniversary of his major league debut. In a couple of months, John Lester will celebrate his 10th such anniversary. Came up in 2006. Two and one.
Story giving no indication that he's thinking about trying to steal a base here. Look out, coming right back at you. It would have been really cool if you were wearing your 3D glasses.
Runner goes. The pitch misses. And the throw got him. What a play by Baez. Ross with a one-hop throw, and Baez snagged it, made the tag, and they get him.
Joe Madden talked about it last year. What a great tagger Javi Baez is. Just great hands. And so quick. Rockies are taking a peek at the video. David Ross with a big throw yesterday, too. A strikeout, throw out double play. He's 36% in his career, which is well above average, is David Ross in throwing out base stealers.
So 3-1 on Gonzalez, but nobody on and 2 outs. Lester back to the wind. 3-2.
Gonzalez, they call him Cargo. He's 2 out of 9 in his career against Lester with a home run. .40 bombs last year.
27 after the break. Hits this one hard on the ground, but Baez is there, and the inning is over. A hit, no runs. Cubs coming up when we come back. By Southwest, 6.45 runs per game. Only the Cardinals have scored more often on average, and we'll see them tomorrow night. Fowler, Hayward, and Zobrist back in the lineup. Rizzo, Bryant, Soler in the middle. Baez, Ross, and Lester rounded out.
The Rockies defensively, they're a good bunch. Very talented, a lot of gold gloves out there. The outfield really good. Parra left, Brandon Barnes in center, and Carlos Gonzalez out in right. Arenado has won 3 consecutive gold gloves to start his career. The only other guy to do that is Ichiro. Story and LeMahieu up the middle. Mark Reynolds, the veterans at first. Tony Walters behind the plate. And Tyler Chatwood has made 2 starts this year. Did not pitch last year, coming back from his second Tommy John surgery.
Fowler taps the first one. Backhanded play. Arenado. And he gets him. Arenado's won a gold glove. Every year he's been in the big leagues, and you see why.
Didn't have the best angle of approach on that ball, but still made the play look fairly easy. And that ball had some funky spin going, too. Stays low throughout. Gathers himself. Good, strong throw.
3 years so far, 3 Gold Gloves for Arenado. So 1 pitch, 1 out, and Jason Hayward, who was surrounded by reporters before the game to talk about tomorrow more than today because of his return to St. Louis. Even though he was only a Cardinal for 1 year, the fact that he left via free agency to sign with the Cubs will be a huge deal tomorrow night. And we'll have it for you on My 50 WPWR, 7 o'clock.
Rockies have gotten pretty good starting pitching in this series. Chad Bettis in game 1 was really good. Christian Bergman came out of the bullpen to make an emergency start yesterday. He was solid. And the 26-year-old right-hander Chatwood today, not a big guy, 6 foot even, $185. I mentioned he pitched twice in the minor leagues last year on his way back from Tommy John surgery. In 2013, the last time he was really healthy, he made 20 starts for the Rockies and was 8-5 with a 3.15. They're optimistic if he stays healthy, he can be a pretty solid contributor in their rotation.
Came up with the Angels, 2nd round pick. The Angels, his hometown team in 2008, 3-2. He had committed to UCLA before signing. He's from Redlands, California. That's about 60 miles northeast of Anaheim.
His first Tommy John surgery came when he was in high school.
At one time he could touch 97, but had trouble finding the strike zone.
Yeah, it looks like he's backed off a little bit, trying to create movement. He's become more of a ground ball type pitcher, although he threw that one by him at 93. A tough go for Jason Hayward on this homestand, just 2 out of 17 now. Chatwood trying to go in. Missed his spot, but had enough on it to get it by Hayward.
Now Ben Zobrist. Ball 1 outside. First day off yesterday, and he tries to end an 0 for 17 at the plate. Is this the one? No. Parra makes the catch, and the Cubs go down on 11 pitches. 1, 2, 3. It dialed up a good one today. Big crowd as the Cubs wrap up what they hope is a 5-1 homestand. Nolan Arenado will lead it off. He's their cleanup hitter. And he takes a strike. 0 for 4 on his 25th birthday yesterday. 1 for 9 in the series. And tied for the major league lead with 14 RBIs. 1-1.
Yeah, off to a great start this year, but has not been swinging it well so far in this series. He's one hit, a bunt single. He's only hit the ball out of the infield once. Led the major leagues with 130 driven in last year, tied for the National League lead with 42 home runs.
Fowler makes a catch.
Hey, Cub fans, if you want to manage the game along with Joe Madden, log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner. Connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape, pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home with this summer.
By the way, according to Baseball Reference, this is kind of fun. There have been 3 major league players ever with the first name of Nolan.
Ryan Reimold.
You got him. I was thinking Reimold you might struggle with. Yeah, and Arenado. You get 2 stars for that one.
Yeah, that's I might make it to Final Jeopardy if I stay on this roll. See, in Houston, all kinds of people name their kid after Nolan Ryan, but they usually name their sons Ryan as opposed to Nolan.
Got it. Strike, Parra didn't like it. That's that key 1-1 pitch, swing pitch. He said it was down. Let's see what
we have supporting evidence to suggest otherwise, Mr. Parra.
Carapazza made the call. Xfinity Pitch Tracks agreed. Swing and a miss. Pitch in the dirt. Ross has to pounce on it. Off balance throw, and Rizzo couldn't handle it. So he will reach on a strikeout. We'll see how they score it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Riz. It wasn't a bad throw. He just whiffed on it.
So give Ross an assist if you keep track of those things, and an error on Rizzo. And the Cubs have now committed 5 errors in this series, 4 on Friday.
Yeah, they had only committed 2 heading into that ball game on Friday.
Mark Reynolds fouls off. He had 2 hits in the ball game yesterday, although one was on a strange base runner interference play in the 7th. Oh, and 2.
Some years ago, Mark Reynolds had a 44 home run season. Have power will travel, I guess you would say about him now. He was a Cardinal last year, part-time player, hit 13 home runs for St. Louis. He'll be a part-time player here, splitting time with Ben Paulson at first base. He can fill in at third. That's the position he played when he first came up. Unlikely that Arenado is going to get many days off.
Made at first by Clint Fagan, and that's out number 2. Second strikeout of the inning. How do you get to Wrigley Field? The Cubs suggest taking public transportation. Actually, Hey, Cub fans, let's go. Cubs' next homestand features 3 games with the Brewers, weekend series with the Braves. Tickets going fast. Go to Cubs.com today and plan now for the games you want to see all season long. A reminder, the Cubs added metal detectors at all the Wrigley Field gates. They'll open 2 hours before each game. Runner goes. Here's the throw. Got him again. David Ross nails Gerardo Parra. And Walt Weiss says, hang on a second. So before we go to break, just make sure no replay will be asked for.
Parra hanging out at second base as if he were safe. This time it's Zobrist handling that one-hop throw. Can't really tell there. It looks like the ball beat him, but Parra may be arguing that he got the hand in before the tag was applied. He's doing a little deceptive work there. Man, hard to tell.
Still waiting.
Nothing conclusive yet.
And they will not challenge. So 2 caught stealings for David Ross already. Selfies at hashtag WGN Cubs. We have a very liberal policy when it comes to selfies. You don't actually have to take the picture yourself, but you get the idea.
Yeah, yourself has to be in it.
And we may use it in our fan cam segment a little later on.
David Ross is on pace to throw out 9 base stealers today.
Fly ball to center. And it's Brandon Barnes. So Rizzo retired. Had a lot of awards handed out prior to these games on the first homestand, and today Chris Bryant got his Players' Choice Award as the 2015 Outstanding National League Rookie. Presented to him by the Cy Young Award winner, Jake Arrieta.
Hey, you go back to his college days when he was winning all the college awards, and last year with the Rookie of the Year and this award. I mean, he's going to have to build a trophy room here pretty soon to accommodate all that hardware. 1-year anniversary for Bryant today.
With about 6 wins above replacement over 1 calendar year. So that debut 1 year ago today, he went 0 for 4 rather, with 3 strikeouts against James Shields and the Padres. You remember his debut in the Northwest League with Boise back in 2013. He went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. And I guess if you want to count the Rookie league in Arizona, he went 0 for 3. So usually takes him a day or two to get it rolling.
Yeah, he's very smart. He doesn't want to set the bar too high. Kind of look bad for a day and then turn around. In his second game as a big leaguer, he had a couple of knocks plus drew 3 walks.
Popped up on the right side. And the only guy that over there was the first baseman Reynolds. So Chatwood has faced 5 and sent them all down pretty quickly.
He's got pretty good life on that fastball. He got in on the hands there of Bryant, and that's what Bettis did on Friday. He had a lot of success getting inside on the Cub hitters, and on the hands, inducing some weak contact.
A strike on Soler, 2 for 4 with a home run yesterday. Last 6 games, 6 hits, 2 homers, 3 walks. I've seen a lot of good things from him. Look, the Cubs missed Kyle Schwarber, but the injury did give Soler an opportunity to play a lot more than he would have otherwise, and taking advantage of it to this point.
Yeah, it's the nature of the sport. One guy goes down, it's a great opportunity for somebody else.
Chatwood has been very good early, so has Lester.
Welcome back, everybody. Chicagoland viewers, it's time for the Subway third inning triple play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999 right now, and the 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do. I like turkey, maybe little hot peppers, in case anybody wanted to send one up here.
Yeah, I'm into the turkey. I like tuna as well. Fouled back by Brandon Barnes. David Ross, the story defensively, throwing out a couple of would-be Rockies base stealers.
Not on my watch, the big fella says.
Muscled in the air out into shallow left, and Soler will take it as Baez thankfully slowed down. Time now for our speed replay. It is brought to you by Xfinity. Let's go back 40 years ago today. It was a Saturday, April 17th, 1976.
There is a deep fly to left center. It is in there. A deep line fly to left center, and so now Mike Schmidt has hit his 4th consecutive home run in this ballgame.
Jack Brickhouse with a call. Mike Schmidt with 4 home runs in a Phillies 18-16 win in 10 here at Wrigley Field. Schmidt went 5 for 6 that day with 8 RBIs.
Got both Russell brothers. Got Rick the starter twice, and then got Paul for the final one. Mike Garman gave up the other one. They got to stop throwing that slider right there in the zone, man.
Speed replay brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Soft liner, base hit. Tony Walters placed it perfectly. And the Rockies have their second hit.
4 home runs in a game accomplished by just 16 men in Major League history, and Schmidt one of a handful to do it consecutively. More consecutive at bats.
Yeah, a lot of people think that was the 23-22 game. No, that was 3 years later. Schmidt hit the big extra innings home run in that one, but the 4-homer game was in '76.
Could swing it a little bit. He had great numbers as a high schooler hitting. That doesn't necessarily translate to being able to handle the bat against pitching at this level.
He's hit 260. 19 out of 73 in his big league career. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rockies got Chatwood from the Angels in the Chris Iannetta deal prior to 2012. And he promptly lines one in the left. So to answer your question, yeah, it apparently does translate.
Yeah, he's legit.
And I guess his home road splits are comparable, so it's not all about
he's
Coors
not a product
Field.
of Coors Field.
Well, LeMahieu, he struck out to start the game. You see at 368. He is a career 354 April hitter. All right, so if you're Walt Weiss, you've seen 2 guys get thrown out already. Does that change your strategy against Lester and Ross?
Yeah, it does. I mean, because I think his guys aren't getting very aggressive leads and jumps off of John. And John, wants, when he goes home, he's very quick, and Ross can really throw. So it may be that he tells his guys, look, you're going to need to back off a little bit.
That'll take Baez to the bag, and they turn the 6-3 double play, and the inning is over. And Mr. Baez will lead off for the Cubs when we return. Check out Len and JD's baseball blog on WGNTV.com. It is sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent, serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. John Lester with 3 scoreless innings. Tyler Chatwood has 21 pitches to get through his first 2 innings. He'll face Baez, Ross, and Lester. Second consecutive start for Baez, as Addison Russell gets his first day off. Season debut yesterday, and Baez had 2 hits, including a double and a run, after coming off the disabled list with a left thumb bruise. First time he's been in the big leagues prior to August. Two and one.
He suffered that thumb injury in spring training, and for a young guy, very frustrating. A lot of fun to be part of it on opening day, and he missed that, and he missed the home opener. Baez, it's just all about controlling the strike zone. Showing enough patience to force the pitcher over the plate.
Still just 23 years old. And a full count on him with Ross on deck. Swing and a miss, and Javi knew he swung at ball 4, not happy with himself.
Yeah, it's 2 things, right? It's a slider off the plate or the breaking ball down off the plate, or that elevated fastball. Those are strikeout pitches, swing and miss pitches for a lot of guys. It's not just that breaking pitch. That's a tough one. You see it well when it's up like that. Hitter sees it well, and there's a tendency to want to get after it.
We'll bring up Ross. His final major league season as a player.
That ball Baez hit yesterday was shoulder high, the one he hit out to right center.
One and one. Ross had a great line after the game yesterday. Somebody asked him, what would you do if you had to face Jake Arrieta? Quote, I don't know what I'd do. Get in the box and pray, I think. Called strike 3 for out number 2.
How do you get to Wrigley Field? Practice, practice, practice. The Cubs suggest taking public transportation. The Cubs do offer a free bike check. Now located by the Addison Red Line station. For drivers, the Cubs provide free remote parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games. For information, visit the A to Z guide on Cubs.com.
John Lester takes ball 1 on a pitch Chatwood thought he should have gotten. 2-0. Yeah, Jake Arrieta yesterday, 8 shutout innings on 100 pitches. And talking to most people around the team, they thought he was good, but not great. That's how good he's been. He was good.
Well, it's become typical, is what it is. Typical for him.
Ryan Spilborghs, one of the Rockies TV analysts, and former major leaguer, he said yesterday that was one of the most dominating performances he had ever seen. And people who watch Jake every 5th day, it's what we've come to expect.
Yeah. The Cubs have won his last 16 starts. He's 14-0 in that stretch.
3-2 to Lester, called strike 3. Chatwood fans the side. 9 up, 9 down for the righty. Scoreless after 3.
Go. Don't miss your chance to catch the best matchups in baseball. Join the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy. It's free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list.
Nice to have you with us on Channel 9 today. Rockies and the Cubs. Rockies have all the hits, 3 of them, but still no runs for either team.
Base runner in each inning, at least 1 base runner in every inning so far for the Rockies, but a couple caught stealing, a big double play ball really helped to clean things up for John.
One and 0 on Story. Singled and was caught stealing in the first inning. Something he's done a lot here early on, swinging and missing, but he's also made some big contact too with the 7 home runs.
The 20 home runs as a minor leaguer last year, splitting time between AA and AAA, exactly 10 home runs at each level. He had the same number of at-bats at each level.
Curve in the dirt. Story went after it for the strikeout. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Final game of the homestand here on WGN, Rockies and Cubs, and make sure you join us. WPWR My 50 tomorrow night as the Cubs and the Cardinals will play for the first time since the Cubs eliminated St. Louis from last year's playoffs. John Lackey will face his former team on the mound. And, well, that'll definitely get some play. I think the Hayward one is kind of a bigger story there.
They're pretty.
0-2 on Gonzalez.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Well, fans will be all charged up. Cardinals got off to a rough start. They were swept by the Pirates in their opening series. Since then, they've gone 6-2, and over the last 7 ball games, they're averaging better than 9 runs per game.
Couldn't hold an early lead yesterday against the Reds, but
Lackey versus Mike Leake tomorrow. A couple of Redbirds who flew the coop will return to St. Louis.
Cards are up 2-1 today. Michael Wacha on the mound. John Moscott coming off the DL for Cincy. One postponement already. Orioles and Rangers rained out in Arlington. Lefty to lefty, and the 2-2 is inside, and it's full with Arenado on deck.
Part of John's early season struggles last year were against left-handed hitters. It's never been an issue in his career, and it wasn't for most of last year, but early on he had a difficult time getting left-handed hitters out for whatever reason.
Mentioned the 14 punch-outs against the Rockies last July 29th. Club record for a lefty. Swing and a miss. 207 last year. Single season southpaw mark. Past Ken Holtzman. Fan 202 in 1970. He's got 5 today.
Cargo was looking in. Look at the way his front side really opens up. There's nothing left.
Arenado, a high drive to left. Solera's back. And it's just into the basket for a home run. Barely got it out. But it counts the same as if it had gone on to Waveland. And it's 1-0 Rockies.
Number 5 for Arenado here in 2016. We mentioned that he tied for the league lead with 42 of them last year. It's career number 75. So they've controlled him throughout this weekend series up until that swing of the bat right there. Didn't crush it, but he got just enough of it.
Unless you're about 9 feet tall, you're not going to steal away a home run here with the basket in play. And by in play, I mean part of the equation. If it gets into the basket, it's a home run. And there that home run ball sits. Now we do note that the Cubs have the tallest outfield in Major League history, but not quite that tall. And we'll have more on that later. Parr with a ground ball. Rizzo will feed Lester at the bag, and that's the inning. Arenado makes it 1-0 Colorado. Show your team pride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card. Only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC. Rubber game today. Rockies lead 1-0 on a Nolan Arenado home run. Chatwood perfect through 3. And Fowler, as we probably would have guessed, takes the first pitch because he swung at the first one in the opening inning and grounded out. 1-1.
Let's see if Cubs have a little more success against Chatwood second time through the order. He was very clean, very efficient to this point. And working that cutter in on the hand. So east and west he goes.
Fowler has enjoyed facing his former team last 7 games coming in. Remember, game-winning homer in Denver off LaTroy Hawkins last April, and a big 3-run shot yesterday, and he takes a called third here. 4 straight strikeouts and 3 consecutive looking for Chatwood.
Yeah, Chatwood has not been much of a strikeout pitcher in his young career. Well below average strikeout rate, but he's got it going on here this afternoon. And pretty big zone. Fowler leads the world in getting rung up on pitches out of the zone, it seems.
Strike called on Jason Hayward. He did not start yesterday. Played right field in the 9th. Struck out in the 1st. And Chatwood will retire him.
Treat your clients and guests to an all-inclusive suite experience this season at Wrigley Field on the Nuveen Investment Suite level. Businesses and individuals alike find suites to be the perfect private setting to host their guests. Suites are an unforgettable experience for both diehard fans and casual observers. There's some of both right there, you could tell. To book your premier experience at the ballpark, visit Cubs.com/premier.
Zobrist takes a strike. Remember, Ben grew up rooting for the Cardinals in Eureka, Illinois. He's converted some fans there into Cub fans, I'm sure. At least people with the last name of Zobrist, I would hope. Chatwood perfect through 4. The 5th inning is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank. Lester works to Mark Reynolds, and he bounces to Chris Bryant. And for a Mazda replay, or replay cam, spying the Cubs grounds crew people grabbing the Arenado home run ball out of the basket.
Good work, fellas. Coffee break.
Want to know on Brandon Barnes. Cornermen play in.
Brandon Barnes, along with starting pitcher Jordan Lyles, traded from the Astros to the Rockies for Dexter Fowler a couple of years back.
Now 2-1.
Barnes, a speed guy. A couple years ago, he had 2 inside the park home runs in the same season. That almost never happens.
Swing and a miss. Was that a changeup?
Might have been a changeup. Might have been a cutter that he got on top of a little bit. It kind of has a little action running in, and you normally wouldn't want to do that with his changeup. Could have been.
Freezes him on a fastball at 92.
Well, that was just pain at the knees is what that was. Yeah, this Saturday, it's the 11th annual Race to Wrigley charity run presented by ATI Physical Therapy. It's still time to sign up and join the fun 5K run. Cubs Charities will donate proceeds to support critical care needs for pediatric patients in Chicago through Advocate Children's Hospital. Sign up at racetowrigley.com.
Tony Walters, a catcher's second start of the series. Nick Hundley put on the concussion DL yesterday. Popped up on a bunt. Lester makes the catch. That is that. Midway in the fifth, 1-zip Rockies.
Be sure to stay tuned for the seventh inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Bobby D will be by to sing the stretch. Maybe make a couple plays, steal a bag.
We're going to ask him about that. Somebody must have been giving him the business in the outfield stands.
Trying to pour a little brewski on him out there.
Anthony Rizzo will lead it off. The Cubs do not have a base runner against Tyler Chatwood. Here's the pitch, up and in. Rizzo with the leadoff homer in the bottom of the fourth yesterday. It was his major league leading fourth game-winning RBI. The 1-0. Down the right field line, long run. Gonzalez, the slide and the grab. Carlos Gonzalez robs Rizzo of extra bases.
Multiple Gold Glove winner. Gonzalez made a real nice catch up against the wall down there the other day. This time, this is a tough read, boy. You have to make up your mind whether you're going to be able to run this one down or not, because at some point you've got to start to brace for contact. Pretty play taking away extra bases from Anthony. John Lester's got to be thinking, what's the deal, boys? In his last start, Brandon Finnegan went 6 2/3 of no hit. And here's Chatwood working on a perfect game.
He needs some John Lackey to rub off on him. Cubs have given Lackey all kinds of run support. 0-1 to Bryant. Getting fifth, playing third. And this is the fifth-third bank, fifth inning. That was not intended, but it worked.
Serendipitous.
Yes. Well, the simple thing to say is he's throwing strikes. He's not been getting behind many Cub hitters.
Yeah, he's got good life on the fastball. He's been able to throw the curveball to get ahead of some guys. He's just not making mistakes over the middle of the plate either.
Still 0-2.
He's finding a little more giddy up too. That one clocked at 95 miles an hour. Looking at the pitch FX numbers on him coming into this start, he had topped out at 94, was averaging a little under 92 miles per hour on the fastball, so a good heater here today.
Soler next. And he struck him out. Let's take a look at our Ford upcoming schedule. Cubs in the middle of a stretch in which they play a lot of home games, but they've got a 7-game trip coming up. WGN Sports on My 50 tomorrow night to start the 3-gamer in St. Louis. Brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or localfordstores.com. 6th game of a 32-game stretch during which the Cubs played 22 at home. The 0-1 to Soler, misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nearly got him. That time, 2-1.
Soler wanted to get time there. Vic Carapazzo would not grant it.
Yeah, he had already started his wind.
He's not going to step out now. He's going to make sure he's ready.
Full count, 3-2. So Jorge wanted to call time, didn't he? Ball 4.
Yeah, kind of twitching there. And Chadwick did a nice job changing his tempo, but a good job by Soler as well, showing patience. You can see where a guy would get a little out of his game and flail out a bad pitch.
First base runner for the Cubs today.
Check out our Alexis run predictor. 2 outs, man on first. The league average is 10%. Cubs 14% efficient in that regard. Brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Alexis dealer.
One and 0 to Baez. Cubs leading the majors in several categories, including, I believe, the extender on the helmet, the jaw protector. Hayward and Baez. One and 1. Top foul to third.
It looks like he'd be difficult to run on too. Pretty quick to home plate. There was a time when that last pitch would have been called for a balk because he never really came set. Rarely see that called anymore.
That was the year of the balk, 89.
Yeah, maybe? Somewhere in the late 80s, because I know I got a bunch of them.
Two and 2. David Ross on deck. 2-out walk to Soler. 2 and 2 on Baez. Cubs trail 1-0. And the pitch and on the hands, and we'll try it again.
You know what I got playing in my head now? Al Stewart, Year of the Cat.
Maybe
Year of the
somebody
Bach, yeah.
should write Year of the Bach.
Yeah, we get Weird Al to record that. Wide open real estate on the right side of the infield with the shift on, and Reynolds holding Soler.
Not quite sure where that hit Baez, but it was uncomfortable. He's got some protection on the lower left leg. Did it get him on the knee? Oh, it came back up after it hit the dirt. He might have gotten him in that sensitive area.
Belly button?
What's that?
Belly button?
Yeah,
Navel?
close.
Ooh.
Line drive, base hit. Cubs on the hit board. And they have a runner in scoring position for the first time.
He has not made many mistakes up out over the plate, but that was a hanger. Lucky Baez didn't hit that one on the street. Ferocious swing, solid line drive. And chance for David Ross now. Tie this ball game.
Ball one.
Yeah, I bet you that run predictor has changed now. Let's play guess. Let's predict the run predictor. That'd be a new game.
Yeah. Ground ball to the shortstop, Story, and he'll feed LeMahieu. The answer is 16%.
So it only went up 2%.
Yep.
Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you.
Rockies 1, Cubs nothing. As we start the 6th inning. Nolan Arenado with a 4th inning home run. Chatwood, LeMahieu, and Story against John Lester. Break up the Braves. They've got another lead. Looking for 3 in a row. 5-3 at Miami in the 7th. Braves lost their first 9. They've won their last 2. That is a strike on Chatwood, who singled in the 3rd.
Baltimore one year lost, was it 21 in a row to
Correct.
start the season?
88.
They probably didn't have very good chemistry.
No.
Wasn't a lot of bounce in that step when they were showing up for work every day.
Swing and a miss. Twins have won 2 straight after losing their first 9. They're trailing 2-1 in the 5th at home against the Angels. And he got him. Swing and a miss for his 7th strikeout. Mediocre start for the Pirates this year. They're 6 up, 6 down. They do have a 6-3 lead over Milwaukee in the 5th today. Ball 1 on LeMahieu. Strikeout and a double play ball. Got to believe home plate umpires like games like this, where the starting pitchers are right around the strike zone. Makes it easier to call those borderline pitches, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think umpires, like everybody else, when the game is well pitched and it moves briskly, they get into the rhythm and the flow of the game. So we talk about position players liking to play behind a pitcher who's throwing strikes. I think umpires fall right in line with that. Get a behind-the-scenes look at beautiful Wrigley Field. The Cubs offer 90-minute guided tours that include a chance to step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses over 100 years of history. For more information, visit Cubs.com/tours.
Lester won that negotiation with David Ross. Well, he took a long look at Ross, who gave about 8 different signs, finally gave the one he wanted. And he caught the outside corner.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you're pitching a good game. You get into that flow. You know exactly what you want to do. You can almost see it in your mind's eye before the pitch. The pitch you're going to execute and the ultimate result of the pitch.
So Lester wanted the backdoor cutter. And it worked.
You know, people will say, well, the umpire will expand his zone for a pitcher that's throwing a lot of strikes around the plate. And I don't think the umpire expands his zone. I don't think he's rewarding the guy for throwing strikes. You just get into the rhythm of seeing strikes, and you kind of, you know, it's not like you're giving the guy something that he's not, that hasn't earned. I guess the best way to put it is they start to anticipate strike.
Fouled away.
The breaking ball down and in. That Story tried to check his swing on, but was called out swinging last time. We'll see where Lester goes here. 2 outs in the 6th. He's only made 68 pitches.
in the dirt. We've had a lot of Japanese media around the team the last few years. Back to Kosuke Fukudome when he was a Chicago Cub. I'm curious to know how many media members from Japan were in New York today, because Masahiro Tanaka and Hisashi Iwakuma, first Japanese teammates to pitch against each other in the big leagues, Mariners and Yankees. Both went deep, both went 7. Iwakuma gave up 4. Tanaka allowed 3, 2 earned, and the Yankees lead 4-3 as they go to the top of the 9th. As you know, that'll be a really big deal in Japan.
Oh yeah.
3-2. Story taps foul.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of folks. So it's the middle of the night over there, right? So a lot of people either putting that on the DVR or decided to get up in the middle of the night and watch it.
Mister looking for the dagger here. 3-2 on Story.
Pushing all your chips into the middle of the table again?
Yes. Why not? 2 for 2. Yeah, we made a little side bet yesterday on the Will Story swing on the 3-2, and he checked his swing and on appeal said he went around after I had put all my chips into the middle. Those are theoretical chips, unfortunately for me. This time he takes ball 4. And let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Len and JD and our WGN sports crew from beautiful Wrigley Field.
What a day, man. It is splendiferous out there, out here. That's just the 3rd walk that Story has taken this year against 21 strikeouts.
Big lead by Story, and Lester steps off.
Yeah, last time he was on, in the first inning, he got caught stealing. He was not taking this aggressive lead, so I think they've had some conversations in that Rocky dugout.
In for a strike on Gonzalez.
Eric Young, fine base stealer in his day as the first base coach. There with instructions for Story after every pitch.
Did not Eric Young hit the first home run in Rockies history?
That sounds right.
Mile high back in '93. Off Kent Bottenfield of the Expos. Look at that lead. There he goes this time. And he's going to make it because of the lead. He's 1 for 2 today.
Yeah, much more aggressive lead. This time, even though Lester was very quick and Ross got off a good throw, the big lead enables him to steal the bag.
Two, and the liner to the shortstop, Baez, to end the inning. Still 1-zip Rockies. The game summary. Make sure you get amazing deals at the Honda Dream Garage Sales event now at your Honda dealer. Starting pitching has been really good for both teams. Chatwood and Lester, you see their lines. Essentially, Chatwood has given up 1 hit and 2 base runners. And the big hit for the Rockies, Arenado's homer in the 4th. 1-0 on Lester. And that is outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Just by way of clarification, Dante Bichette hit the first home run in Rockies history, and that was on the road. Eric Young hit the first homer in Denver. John Lester cranks one, and Cargo will play that one off the wall. Lester has a double.
Well, he was ahead in the count last time up. He ended up striking out looking. This time he gets the green light on 2-0. And delivers big time. Cubs pitchers really helping their own cause this year. That fastball is down in the zone, but over the plate.
This is his 5th career hit in his 100th at bat and his first career extra base hit. He did have a home run in spring training. And he represents the tying run with nobody out. One and 0 to Fowler. Inside corner and a strike. Rockies have given up a run in every situation they've faced. According to our Lexus run predictor, runner at second, nobody out, and a bunt popped up, foul, and look out, Walters bangs right into the bricks. Walt Weiss and one of the Rockies athletic trainers out very quickly to check on him.
He's very athletic. He's a converted infielder. He played shortstop coming up in the Cleveland organization. He runs well, very athletic, and a heck of a try. Look how quickly he springs out of there, but he hit that wall awfully hard.
Looks like Andrew Shaw took him into the corner.
Yeah. The wall almost always wins that confrontation.
He says he's all right. Just outside. You think Chatwood wanted that one? 2-2.
Yeah, well, in a one-run ball game, he's fighting for everything right now. That changeup runs off the outside corner. Fowler was rung up last time on a pitch that was a little bit outside.
Three Rockies in the area, and it's Parra for the out.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Here's Hayward.
This would be a good time to break out of this little funk he's in.
Cubs have 2 hits. Baez a single in the 5th. Lester a double here in the 6th. And now Walters will jog out and meet his pitcher Chatwood in a very quick chat. Two and 0.
Good recognition by Hayward. Played off the high fastball, took the changeup down. They're taking a little more time between pitches now.
Right in there, and it's 2-1. Cubs have not been involved in many tight games because they've been blowing a lot of people out. A nail biter to this point. Chatwood checks on Lester at second. Cubs have played one one-run game, and that was a loss in Arizona.
You can get your pitcher's union card revoked for that, making another pitcher dive back into a base.
Inside corner, 2-2.
That'd be a tough send for Gary Jones with John Lester, the base runner, on a sharply hit ball to the outfield. That one barely catches the inside corner at the knees. He's made a lot of quality pitches here today.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
That was just a beat. We beat him with 93. Nothing fancy there. Didn't pick away at a corner. It was elevated. It was over the plate. And Jason just not able to get to it.
So these two starters have combined for 15 punch-outs. Lester has 8. Chatwood with his 7th. And that brings up Ben Zobrist. And a called strike.
How about first pitch changeup right at the knees to get started? He's giving these Cub hitters a lot to think about. can't really eliminate anything.
Leadoff double, John Lester. You'd hate to waste it. Chatwood has a sign from Walters. Here's the pitch. It's 2-1. Rizzo on deck.
Versus hit the ball to left field both times. So first time up, hit it sharply, deep drive to left. One of the 3 or 4 balls that the Cubs have hit sharply here this afternoon.
Down the line, Parra is over, and he just can't get there. Almost became the 3rd Rocky defender to go crashing into a wall in this series. We saw Gonzalez make a great catch in right earlier in this series. Walters slammed into the bricks near the Cubs on deck circle earlier in this inning. The 2-2 is wide. It's full. Three-two pitch pulled foul on the ground past Brandon Hyde, the Cubs first base coach.
A situation here where if you're John Lester, and again, he's a pitcher, he's bigger things to worry about, his primary job, but be well served to get a little more aggressive with the secondary lead here on 3-2. Give himself a fighting chance to score on a base hit.
A fly ball, well hit, but the wind will keep it very much in the ballpark. Barnes the catch, inning over, still 1-0. Let's check out a Sunday edition of our Fan Cam. That's North Ave by the Orioles, our fan cam segment for today. Rockies 1, Cubs nothing. Rockies will bat here in the 7th against John Lester. Nolan Arenado in his last at bat hit the go-ahead home run, and he will lead it off. Bob Dernier is with us. He's going to conduct the stretch today. Brought to you by Budweiser, and he's in the booth with us. Bobby D, how are you?
Everything's great. How about you?
I mean, we sit here at Wrigley Field on a beautiful day. Cubs have won 9 of 11. We're great.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've been here all week to watch, and the opening homestand. And, you know, it looks like winning.
There's the 0-1 and fouled back. I don't know if we can find it again. We had some great video of you in your Gold Glove season running down some fly balls, and there was one it was either Philly or Pittsburgh, I'm not sure, right up against the wall. Looked like someone threw something at you, and you kind of gave him a little, I'll show you. Lined and caught by Zobrist. All right, here we go. So here's what we showed you, our fans, earlier. Okay, is this Montreal? Where is this?
Oh, that's
St. Louis?
St. Louis, yeah.
Okay,
They like to throw
right
that Budweiser down there, Lynn.
Is that what happened?
I think
Yeah,
so.
catch.
Probable anyway.
Yeah, see, there's something drops behind you, and then a little,
let
just a
them
little
know.
get out of my face.
That's
And
right.
you said, darn it, you, don't do that again.
Well, it's a little trade-off. You know, we got guys out there. You know, so when the Cardinals come in here, they get a little return fire.
That's right. I was talking with JD the other day about your era and all of the artificial turf ballparks. The National League was just full of those ballparks. These days, there are 2 left, and they're both in the American League East, Tampa Bay and Toronto, and that's it.
Yeah. Did you like it, JD? I hated turf.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't influence me a whole lot because I was a fly ball pitcher. But there were times, sure, you know, a guy hits a pop up and one bounce and big high bounce and a little bloop single turns into a double, sometimes a triple, or a ball hit on the ground that would really scoop.
I nicknamed it, I called it space ball. It was, you know, we grew up playing on grass our whole life, and then all of a sudden you get to the big leagues and
Right, yeah,
you're on
and
a
all these
different
big
court.
multi-purpose stadiums,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was,
So I never liked it. It took away kind of the short game, if you will, bunting. Sometimes it was hard to get a feel, but you know, I mean, it's still the major leagues. You know, Montreal was kind of cool, but most of them were hard, and it was kind of hard on your feet if you were a runner, going from dirt to turf back to dirt. You know, it was, you almost felt like you wanted to be barefoot or in tennis shoes.
Yeah, and Hawk would probably tell you it was the bane of his major league existence, right?
Yeah, there you go.
In Montreal.
And when he came here, you know, that was part of the reason he wanted to be on grass. I don't know. It just, to me, it was called perfectly artificial turf. It was artificial. Didn't feel the same as the natural grass. So.
what Dick Williams said, if a horse can't eat it, I don't want to play on it, or something like that.
Yeah, just, you know, and the game is, I think it's better to watch. Like JD said.
Dick Allen had said that. Yeah.
And the ball bounces over your head. That's not, it's not natural baseball. So.
Lester to Reynolds. Outside.
It took away some plays from you too, right? You come sprinting in on a pop-up, and then you have to back off for fear of that big high hop bounding over you.
That's right. Yeah, you had to play. Also, even balls that kind of double take on which if I leave my feet or not. And of course, in the gap, you know, your angles and the clock's different. So you had to, especially in big parks like St. Louis, when they had all those guys that could really run, and Sarge used to holler, you know, hold them to a triple. So.
That is a strike, and it's 2-1. Always great to have you here to sing the stretch. Big crowd today.
Well, I'll count on every one of them.
Oh, they'll help you. You know that. Strike 2.
Could use your game today, man. A little single, steal a bag, score a run. make a play. It's one of those games.
Perfect time for a rally.
Lester's 2-2. Swing and a miss. Here we go. Bob Dernier with our 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser.
Conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, former Cub Bobby Dernier.
All right, Cub fans, let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root, root, root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2 at the old ball game. All right, let's get some runs.
Corner. John Lester has struck out 10 today. Chatwood has 7 strikeouts. Both right around the 90 pitch mark here in the 7th. One old foul. We do have a reliever sighting on the bullpen mound. That is Miguel Castro for the Rockies.
Rockies don't have a lot of power arms in their bullpen, but he's one of them. He can really light it up. Anthony in survival mode there, trying to cut down on the swing. This time he gets the timeout.
So no pitch. Carpazzo wanted to fire it to Chatwood, and he wasn't yet ready to receive the throw. So, oh man. A little dangerous. Going up and in. And it's going to work. LeMahieu playing pretty deep. Barely has to move as he battles his son and makes the catch.
Cubs destinations travel packages include tickets, hotel accommodations, ballpark tours, Cubs swag, and a private meet and greet with a current Cub player. This season's destinations include stops in Pittsburgh and right here in Chicago. For more information, visit Cubs.com/travel.
Chris Bryant has popped to first and has struck out. Paid crowd today 41,678. Just shy of the homestand high of 41,702 yesterday.
Pretty relentless in terms of pounding inside on these Cub hitters, especially the sluggers, just trying to tie them up inside.
Pulled on the ground. Arenado pulls that one out of his back pocket, spins, and gets him.
It's in my bat. I should let you have that one. It's against his nature, though. And they're both reviewing the replay on the big board. Story and Arenado.
Soler muscles one out into center. Barnes coming in, and Chatwood, 2 hitting the Cubs on 100 pitches through 7. Eighth inning, and time for our Mattress Firm Great 8 stat of the game. JD asked this question of our research staff. Might the Cubs have the tallest infield in Major League history? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, after doing some digging.
Outfield.
Oh, it's outfield. There's the front court.
And it's brought to you by Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy, guaranteed. Remember, it's over 8. It's time to replace your tallest outfield, not infield. Curve strike on Brandon Barnes. 8th inning, 1-0. Rockies.
I'm not a marketing guy, but it seems like you could do something with that. A little poster with those 3 outfielders.
There's the bunt. Lester, bare hands, and got him. Oh, man. Just your typical 1-3.
Well, we talked earlier about Barnes and his ability to bunt. There's a number of the guys on this team that'll put the bunt down, and it's not a secret that John doesn't like to throw to the bases, so he just bounces it over there. What a play by Rizzo. That's great concentration, having to drift the other way, peek around the base runner, and handle that 2-hop throw.
Wow. Well, you can defend or you can catch low. You don't want high, right?
Yeah,
can handle that.
I think that's and even if it's offline, low can be knocked down and not an extra base gain. If you airmail it down the right field line, Barnes might be standing on third base.
Walters, a catcher, takes a pitch outside, ball 1.
Walters tried to bunt earlier. Parra unsuccessful. He did steal the 1 base, but 2 were caught stealing.
And that looked like a quote bad bunt, but I think it was intended to be hit right at the pitcher, right?
Yeah, that was we're going to make John field this bunt and make a throw to the bases. That was the strategy behind it.
Adam Warren cranking it up in the home bullpen. Meantime, 3-0 on Walters. Three and 1. A basket shot by Arenado. That's been it so far. And the ball just got out of the Cubs bullpen, fielded by David Ross. Three and 2. Here comes a payoff delivery. Ball 4.
John taking a long look in. Carapazza thought that ball was high. He's been generous at the lower portion of the strike zone today. See where this one shows up on our Xfinity pitch tracks. Just a little bit up.
Ryan Rayburn announced for Chatwood. And that will be it for John Lester, and he should get a big round of applause. Pitched well enough to win today. And he will exit trailing 1-0. Fans on their feet. We'll be back in the 8th. Adam Warren, the man on 1 out, 8th inning. A 1-0 ball game.
Yeah, not a lot of work for Adam Warren. Of course, the starters have been so good. There hasn't been a lot of work for the bullpen. Warren's only pitched twice. He picked up the win here on Monday. That was his last appearance. That was also in the Lester game. That's the game where Addison Russell hit the big home run, the go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. Outstanding performance by Lester today, 7 1/3. Just 1 run on 4 hits. He punched out 10.
And he had the only extra base hit, a double, for this offense off Chatwood. John hard on himself. He had that look in the dugout of I didn't do enough, but still very much in this game. Pitch to Rayburn is swung on and missed. Can't sleep on a catcher at first base. Walters has 3 stolen bases this week.
Yeah, and I think that may have been part of the reason why Joe Maddon made the move when he did. Just fear of a stolen base.
Outside, and it's 1-1. Cubs bullpen has been rested because of deep quality starts by the rotation here these first 2 weeks. There will be a point in time this season when the bullpen is overused, but it has not been to this point. Safe at first. As Ross nearly got him.
Walters diving to the back corner of the base, was able to get there.
And we are waiting on something here. Somebody apparently wanted to hold up the proceedings, and Clint Fagan told Adam Warren to step off the rubber, and I think Joe Maddon wanted to make sure that the video guys looked at the replay downstairs. Now Anthony Rizzo didn't say anything, which would lead me to believe he did not get a tag on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about. Fagan was very emphatic out there at first base, pointing to home plate.
Yeah, and I think Carapazza was telling Joe, hey, we did that for you, to give you a second. So we resume a 1-2.
Rayburn's celebrating a birthday today. His 35th. We were talking about him during the game yesterday. He's had an interesting run over the last 4 years, alternating really good years with just miserable years. Last year he put up very good numbers.
Warren acquired from the New York Yankees in the Starlin Castro trade. Former 4th round pick of the Yanks in 2009. Two balls, 2 strikes. Player to be named later is Brendan Ryan. And he was released shortly thereafter by the Cubs. So essentially it became a Castro for Warren trade. 2-2 on the ground softly to third. Bryant charges, and he gets the out at first. On the play, Walters advancing to second. LeMahieu for 3 today.
2 punch outs and a double play ball.
Yep, not a good day at the plate for him. To this point, and he's got a runner in scoring position here as the Rockies try to add some insurance with 2 outs in the 8th.
Fielders got to be willing to leave their feet here, knock the ball down. That changeup that's so hard to execute. Right-handed pitcher, right-handed hitter. There's a tendency for that ball to drift into the power of a right-handed hitter. Very few guys can command that pitch to their glove side.
One and two.
After going soft, they try to get in his kitchen with a heater. Make him aware of both sides of the plate. Jason Hayward really playing close to the line in right field.
Swing and miss to end the inning. Nice job, Adam Warren. Still 1-0 in the 8th. come back late, trailing in the rubber match 1-0, and we'll be on 550 WPWR tomorrow night as the Cubs and the Cardinals will battle in St. Louis, 7 o'clock Central Time. Miguel Castro, 6'5", 190. He's only 21 years old.
And long and lean and throws hard. Averaging a little better than 95 miles per hour on that fastball. Slider and a change as well. La Romana in the Dominican Republic.
Came over in the Tulowitzki deal on July 28th of last year. He faces Javier Baez. Tyler Chatwood was terrific. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts. Here we go. As Baez shows bunt and looks at a pitch outside. Cubs went 2 for 23 against the starter Chatwood. Rondon and Grimm in the Cubs pen. Ground ball past the mound. LeMahieu to Reynolds.
Yeah, when you think of the Colorado Rockies, you think about all that firepower they've had over the years. You rarely think of pitching, but in this series, the starters, and these are guys that are not household names, they've all really pitched well.
Miguel Montero will bat for David Ross. First time Chatwood has gone 7 scoreless since 2011, which was his rookie season with the Angels. Ball 1 on Montero.
Montero certainly capable of riding one out of here. Two-seam fastball away. Hammers that ball to left field. Stella will be next.
Tommy La Stella on deck. This is a time to use your pinch hitters. Bottom of the order. You're not going to use them in the 9th. And Fowler, Hayward, and Zobrist. The Rockies closer is a guy Joel Madden's very familiar with, Jake McGee, left-hander and a former Tampa Bay Ray. Two is off the plate in.
Castro listed at 6'5". So slender, he looks even taller.
Swing and a miss on a fastball at 96. 2 outs.
Not just throwing hard, but you know, he threw a 2-0 changeup for a strike to get back into the count. That was impressive, and then he beats Montero with that heater.
Ball one on the pinch hitter, La Stella. On the ground, fair ball. Nice play. Reynolds to end the inning. We go to the ninth. It's 1-0 Colorado. Rockies 1, Cubs nothing. Come on, Justin. Might need some tape.
Plan B.
Okay. Well, he's in the game now.
No more shenanigans. Time to go to work. Fifth appearance, 2.25 ERA. An ERA below 2 last year in 62 appearances. Last time out on Thursday against the Reds, he allowed a run on a couple of hits.
Ball one on Trevor Story.
Was not significant. That was the blowout game.
This at bat could be a very grim story. One and one.
It'd be a fairy tale, then, right? If it was a grim story.
We had a Hail Caesar matchup yesterday. Rockies have a Barnes. The Cubs have a bullpen catcher named Noble. The surname game never gets old.
You could just while away hours in the dugout playing that game. Hanging out down in the bullpen.
Swing and a miss. Strike three.
Straight butter. .95 well placed.
We are in the era of the strikeout. This game has lived up to it. That is the 12th strikeout for Cubs pitchers. It's the 20th strikeout combined.
Fastball curveball combination from Grimm is devastating. Tough on both right and left-handed hitters.
Well, coming up this week, we may see the Wood Carpenter.
It's always good.
Matchup, yeah. 1-2 on Gonzalez. Reds and Cardinals tied at 3. They're in the 8th inning at Busch Stadium. On the stretch with nobody on. And ball 2.
Couple ugly hacks at the curveball. Don't be surprised to see him go back there. No, because we're going to go fastball away. Oh, missed. Overthrew it a little bit. Didn't trust it.
Good crowd here, and they're waiting for the bottom of the ninth. See if the Cubs can come all the way back as Gonzalez strikes out. So the pitching matchups, Lackey and Leake tomorrow night. Hamill and Garcia. Jaime Garcia coming off quite a performance in his last start. And then Kyle Hendricks and the guy with probably the best stuff on the Cardinals staff, Carlos Martinez. They missed him down the stretch last year. And we'll have tomorrow night's opener on 9:50 Cubs baseball on WPWR. Here's Arenado. Fouled away.
Yeah, the weak link in the Cardinal rotation right now is Adam Wainwright. He's really struggled. Knocked around yesterday. Has an ERA in the 8s. I suspect he will turn that around as long as he's healthy. We'll be looking for some heroics in the bottom of the inning. They've got the top of the order. Good place to start. Whoop.
Two 2-1. 2-2. Power curve at 83.
Just locked him up.
Last pitch you'll see a lot with Justin because of the curveball. 8 wild pitches each of the last 2 years for Grimm. And the catchers are always at the ready with 2 strikes. 3-2. A deep drive to left. And Soler can only watch it go. A 2-homer day for Nolan Arenado. And as we pointed out on Friday, he doesn't just hit him at Coors Field. He hit more on the road than he did at home last year.
Yeah, he had not really done anything in this series until today, but he's been the man of the match here. He, along with the starting pitcher Chatwood, 2 home runs now. And fastball command has not been really good for Justin in this outing. The curveball has been outstanding. I thought they would go back with a breaking pitch. Not that he couldn't beat him with the fastball. He just didn't put it in a good spot.
Well, that could be a key extra run. A strike on Parra. There's McGee getting ready for the bottom of the ninth. And that'll be his series debut. Swing and a miss, so 3 strikeouts in the inning, but the home run by Arenado. The Cubs will have Fowler, Hayward, and Zobrist trailing by 2. Nolan Arenado in the mix for Player of the Week. 6 games this week. He's driven in 12 runs. 2 today on solo shots. And here's Jake McGee trying to close it out.
2 out of 2 so far for the left-hander over from the Rays. After an off-season trade to this January. Primarily a setup man throughout his time with Tampa, now getting this opportunity to close. He picked up 6 saves with the Rays last year.
And a good run with Tampa Bay. First pitch swinging. Oh, what a pick by Story on the one-hopper, and he gets Fowler for the first out. That would have brought the tying run to the plate.
Yeah, that ball appeared to be by him, and out of nowhere comes that glove. Beautiful play by Story. Take away a leadoff base hit from Fowler.
Rockies have made several sparkling defensive plays on their infield here the last few innings. Reynolds over at first, Arenado, and now Story. So 1 out, and here's Hayward. Breaking ball. Strike 1.
And mixing in the curveball a little bit more. McGee's primarily been a fastball pitcher throughout his career. I mean, he throws that pitch a ton. Usually over 90% of the time. He's not throwing as hard this year as he has in recent seasons.
Into the corner, and it will bring up the tying run as Hayward on his way to second. And he'll stop with a double.
2 real good swings off McGee here. Story able to make the play on Fowler, but a rocket off the bat of Jason Hayward for a 2-base hit.
That'll bring up Ben Zobrist. Rockies will not be concerned about Hayward. And McGee with a long look at the runner. The pitch is outside. Former Rays teammates, McGee and Zobrist. On the ground, foul, just wide of third. You got to figure McGee is dictating this sequence, right? You've got a rookie catcher,
a
pitcher who knows his former teammate.
Be very difficult to sneak one by Arenado. That ball was hit sharply down the third base line, but he's fairly tight to the line and is tremendously quick.
The 1-1. Fly ball to left. Parra's back. He's on the warning track, and he's got enough room to make the catch. And that's the second out.
Oh, man, I thought he got it.
Wind may have held it up a bit. It's not blowing hard. It is blowing in. 2 down.
McGee hasn't really fooled anybody yet. All 3 Cub hitters in this inning putting very good swings on him. But he's 1 out away from getting out of here.
Rizzo is 0 for 3. Nobody is left. 41 plus. And then he's standing. Outside, ball 1.
Rally caps are on. And tying Anthony up with hard stuff inside. And again, they went with the heater in. He was looking for it. Just didn't quite get the head out.
They've won every series so far this year, 3, and going back to the end of last year, 6 in a row. It will be a winning homestand, but I'd like to come all the way back and get greedy here. One hits him, and that'll bring up Chris Bryant. Bryant already with a big home run against the Rockies off John Axford, a game winner, July the 27th.
Well, this is a pretty good script here. On the anniversary of his debut. A chance with 1 swing of the bat to send this place into flat-out delirium.
2 walk-off homers last year, that one, and then off Zach McAllister of the Indians in the bottom of the 9th on August 24th. 2 on, 2 down. 2-0 Rockies. 9th inning. And a pitch.
Oh my! It's a bold offering by McGee. Challenge fastball, just hooked it foul. And this is a guy that used to touch 97. We've seen 94 today. So he doesn't quite have the velocity that we're used to seeing from him. Pinch runner.
Get a pinch runner for Anthony Rizzo. It'll be Matt Caesar. And he is the tying run.
No doubles defense for the Rockies. Extremely deep in the outfield. Bryant gets into one. It really won't matter much how deep they are. Chris 0 for 3 so far today.
The 1-1. Now 1-2. A little extra on that pitch at 95.
A little extra and a little anxious from Bryant. He usually forces that pitcher into the zone.
One-two pitch, swing and a miss, and the Rockies hang on and take 2 out of 3. Cubs strand 2. The final score: the Rockies 2 and the Cubs nothing.